When it comes to presenting the real estate reviews report, what we recommend is first deferring to the software, explain how the graphs are made, and then talk about the key takeaways and asking questions to move the whole story along. So for example, what I would do when talking to a customer is tell them that you had some great software that created out some cool graphs that you'd love to talk to them about. Now this first graph that the software made plotted the homes that sold over the last 12 months based on the price it sold at and the days to close. Each of these blue dots here was a home that sold over the last year. On the bottom you can see days to close, so this is days from listing to actual signing of the closing documents, and the price it sold at. This red line gives us an average for the days that it took, and you can see on the right here we have that information spelled out very clearly. So according to the data, homes in your area sold in just 36 days. Now that's pretty fast. Did you expect it to be that fast? Okay, have you seen a number of your homes in your area go up for sale and almost be under contract before the sign hit the dirt? Yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing in the data here. On top of that, you can see that the average sale price is about $684. Now, does that surprise you? Is that kind of what you expected your house or your neighborhood about to be worth? Okay. Now you can see that these are the houses that sold, but not every house that goes on the market always sells. Sometimes if they're overpriced, they don't sell. So the graph here in the middle, this little bar chart, the software created what we call an odds of selling graph. Now it's created by putting the blue here, the sold properties, just like we have the blue dots above. Yellow would be under contract and green are those for sale. Now this tells us that there's 95% odds of selling. That means that your area is probably one of the hottest neighborhoods I've ever seen. Now I guess you probably know that, you probably have people sending out postcards and everything to you. But does it surprise you to see that almost everyone that goes in your market in your neighborhood is selling? These are the kind of questions I'm talking about that ask, these kind of key fears and start conversations. It's not just reading the graphs, but having this presentation. So again, I'm kind of walking through this presentation with you here, but in many cases, just as a quick little sidebar, we're going to walk through asking the questions, introducing the reason for the graph, and then how it's made, and then asking, did you expect this? Is this something that you thought you've seen? Or does this surprise you? Just to keep the conversation going at this point as we're walking through the patterns. Now this third graph here really shows us when the most active time for selling in your neighborhood is. You can see that the kind of tall houses here, or the bars here, are all graphed by the number of homes that sold in that month, and the blue is the most active time. So today being May, you can see we're entering this buying window. Now in most cases that means that your home will get more because there's more buyers out there looking. Now let me ask you, have you thought about selling your house? If you had thought about it, if they say yes, like I was thinking about this, like okay, well the time really is now, so would you be ready to if you needed to now? Not forcing them to sell it, but just asking them, okay, like if they never thought about what they need to do or how fast it might have to come, gives them good information. Now, once we're done with this first page, the key question we want to ask them is, okay, this is all good information, but in most cases when I show this people, they want to know what their house is worth. Is that something that you're interested in learning? Or would you like to know the market value of your home? The answer to that is almost always yes. Then we get to the second page. Now again, we're going to follow the same process, but in this case, we're going to add a little bit more customer control. All right, our job is to be their trusted advisor, not their trusted decision maker. So in this case, what we want them to do is understand the graph and then tell us the answers. So in this case, what we're going to go ahead and show them is this graph and say, on this graph, the blue dots are homes that have sold in your area. On the side here, we have the price, and on the bottom, in this case, we have finished square feet. So I'm going to hand you this pen, and do you know the finished square feet for your house? They might say yes, this is this, or no. It's okay, well, I attached this old MLS sheet, or I looked it up before this so I could tell you you have 3,000 finished square feet in your home. So using this pen, can you draw a line up from this bottom up to this red line, which is the fair market value trend line? Great. So where does the graph say that your home should be priced at? That's a key question to make sure you ask. You're not saying the graph says this or your house is worth this. You're saying, where does the graph say it should be priced at? That way it gives you some leeway and some discussion. So they might answer and say, I don't know, 725, 730-ish. And you say, yeah, now that's where that is. Now, is that a value that you would probably expect? Start having this conversation with them. And then say, as you can see, though, there are some dots above the line. There are some dots way below the line. And what determines that is the condition of your home and some other things like special features, or if you finished your basement, or other finishes that maybe you've updated since I last talked to you. So because of that, in order to get a true accurate understanding, I would have to do a full CMA. Now, is that something that you'd be interested in me doing for you at this time? Have that conversation. If they say, wow, okay, great. Like, I'm not sure. It's, okay, well, before we, move on from that talk, let's also go ahead and have you draw a line. You bought this house at $600,000. So go ahead and draw a line here and draw a dot or something. And let's go ahead and measure how much this is and see how much value you now have in your home. If they bought it at $600,000 and sell it at $725 estimate off this line, they have $125,000. They might say, I don't want to sell my house, I love it. You might say, okay, great. Well, with $125,000 equity, is there anything that you thought about doing to your house, or have you looked at maybe real estate investing? Because you have a lot of equity built up that you might be able to take advantage of and continue growing your wealth. Because that's my job as your real estate advisor, to kind of have these conversations with you. That opens the door to really having conversations that can create transactions, and asking these future leading questions will really yield dividends for you. So again, when you're presenting this real estate review report, I know I kind of rambled through this a little bit more than just giving a general framework, but you're going to go ahead and say that you're going to defer to the graphs, saying the software did this for you, and then you're kind of learning this together. You're going to explain how the graphs are made, ask questions to lead them through the report, ask them to draw the line up, ask them what the graph is showing, and then ask these questions about what they want to see in their future. Now, if you want to master this process, go ahead and also look at the ebook in the Real Estate Reviews resources area. Go through the Real Estate Reviews class. And if you really want to kind of walk through a challenge to keep yourself accountable and get the most out of doing real estate reviews, make sure you look at the 5 Weeks to Success with Real Estate Reviews book on Amazon.